Carrying on with our look at Chapter 11 of Jim Stock's book, Rescue Plan for Planet Earth, Democratic World Government through a Global Referendum. Right then, where were we? Okay, quote, "Surprisingly, there is no legal definition for democracy. However, as the weaknesses of authoritarian systems of governing became obvious, there emerged a new realization that the delegation of a significant part of our individual sovereignty or freedom to the leader or to a leadership group should be voluntary and would be beneficial for all. One way or another, people developed various forms of democracy, and no one that I'm aware of has ever argued that individuals had no right to voluntarily delegate any portion of their individual sovereignty to a democratic, municipal, provincial, state, or national government. If we the people fully had this right in the past, we still have the very same right today, and if the existing system enjoyed by a democratic country, generally involving 3 levels of governance, works well in most respects, we are free, entitled, and, in my view, extremely well advised to delegate yet another aspect of our personal sovereignty to a democratic world government. Expressed alternatively, we, the people of the earth, have a fundamental human right to delegate the exercise of one more aspect of our sovereignty to a democratic world parliament and government, if that is what we deem to be in our self-interest. The distinction between surrendering aspects or elements of our personal sovereignty and delegating them is important. People do things that are in their own interest, and that is normal and inevitable. When humans delegate some of their individual sovereignty to a municipal government, it is not a loss of any kind. Indeed, it is a gigantic net gain. And if we disband City Council tomorrow, we would simply have to reinvent it, if only to re-establish the advantages it offered. Garbage pickup, public parks, snow removal, public libraries, policing, sewage systems, water delivery, some social services, and, critically, an economic environment suitable to companies that employ some of the people in our area, etc. Similarly, if we were foolish enough to disband our national government tomorrow, we would have to reinvent it too. This in order to regain the valued advantages of our previous life situation. And rather than seeing this reinvention process as any loss, we would know in advance from our past experience, that it would be a terrific bargain, a tremendous net gain for all. And so, although we have never had a democratic world government in the past, we can know, by way of analogy, that the process of authorising and establishing a DWP is not to be seen as the loss of something dear to us, but perhaps a net gain that dwarfs whatever loss or cost there may be. And if these 4 layers of government, municipal, provincial, national, and global, can manage to stay the heck out of each other's jurisdictions, it is entirely possible that the future of humanity and of the earth will unfold peacefully, allowing us to live and prosper for many millions of years, or perhaps even millions of generations into the future. And now that we know we have the ability and the right to do all this, I fully expect that we will indeed do it. Humanity is free to authorise yet another layer of governance, and a positive vote from a global referendum would be the obvious and the most democratic way to legally authorise such a choice." End quote. The author really does address quite a few topics in this chapter. He talks a bit about Quebec, and he gives us a bit of fairly recent Canadian history. Interesting stuff. He talks a bit about Tim Flannery as well, and quotes him also. Jim touches on the issue of population control and reduction in this chapter. Now, in my view, this is something we really need to be thinking and talking about, even though it's an uncomfortable subject for some. The author makes some very good points on the issue, I would say. Anyway, one final quote for this video. It is my firm opinion that the Earth is going to have global governance if the human race is to survive the 21st century. The choice that confronts us now, a choice we may not have in the future, is whether we will build a very democratic body for world governance, or a big brother kind of institution that will try to save our skins in spite of ourselves. End quote. Well, that's a very sobering thought right there, I would say. You know, perhaps if humanity, the mass of humanity, fails to act in the interests of the whole, then maybe we will indeed end up being ruled by a nasty, unpleasant elite at the global level. Not something I like to think about really, but it is a possibility. So, I'll probably do one more reading from this chapter, maybe early next week, and then I'll leave it at that, I think. Well, take care, guys. Best wishes. Peace.